Welcome to Glorious English. Before starting a video, please tell me what is your beautiful name and from where you are watching my channel. Tell me in the comment box. Thank you everyone for coming to channel Glorious English. There was a man who had a lot of wealth. He owned houses, servants, slaves, and many other possessions. One day he passed away, leaving behind a young son. The boy grew up and started enjoying life. He ate, drank, listened to music, and was generous, giving gifts to others. However, he spent all of his father's wealth, including the servants and possessions, until nothing was left. With no money left, the boy had to sell the remaining slaves and possessions. He became so poor that he had to work as a laborer for a living. He stayed in this poor condition for many years. One day, while sitting under a wall, waiting for someone to hire him, a man approached him. The man had a kind face and good clothing. He greeted the young man, who asked, "Do you know me?" The man replied,
I don't know you.
"But I can see that you once had wealth, even though you're poor now." The young man sighed and said, "It's fate, but if you need any help, I'm willing to work." The man smiled and said, "I have work for you. I live with 10 elders and we need someone to help us with our tasks. You will be provided with food, clothing, and a small payment. Maybe through our help your wealth will return." The young man agreed, saying, "I'll do whatever you ask." The man then gave him one condition. "Keep everything we do a secret. If you see us cry, don't ask why. Do you accept?" The young man nodded, agreeing to the condition. The sheikh led the young man to a grand bathhouse where he gave him clean clothes. Then they went to a magnificent mansion. Inside, there were many rooms, fountains, and beautiful gardens. The sheikh took the young man to a room filled with 10 elderly men, all dressed in mourning clothes, weeping loudly. The young man was confused but remembered his promise not to ask any questions. The sheikh gave the young man a chest filled with 30,000 gold coins. "Use this wisely," the sheikh said, "and be faithful in your duties." The young man promised to follow his instructions. For many days, he worked for the sheikhs, taking care of their needs and spending the money carefully. After some time, one of the sheikhs passed away. The remaining men took him, washed his body, and buried him in the garden behind the mansion. As days passed, more sheikhs died, one by one, until only the sheikh who had hired the young man was left. The young man stayed with him, feeling lonely in the mansion, but still serving faithfully. Years passed, and then the sheikh became very ill. The young man grew worried. He said, "I have served you for 12 years. I have done my best, but now you are sick, and I fear you will die too." The sheikh replied, "Yes, you have served us well, but we must all die. And now the time has come for me." The young man, troubled by the mystery of the sheikh's constant mourning, asked, "What made you weep? Why have you and the others cried all these years?" The sheikh replied, "You don't need to know, but I will tell you this. If you want to avoid what has happened to us, never open the door in this mansion. It is dangerous, and you will regret it if you do. If you open it, you will learn the truth, but you may not be able to undo the consequences." Despite the warning, the young man couldn't resist his curiosity. He spent 7 days fighting the urge to open the door. But on the 8th day, his desire to know overcame him. He went to the door, saw that it was covered in webs and had 4 heavy locks. He broke the locks and opened the door. Beyond the door, he found a narrow passage that led him on a long walk which took 3 hours. At the end of the passage, he found himself on the shore of a large river. As he stood there, unsure of what to do, a huge eagle suddenly appeared. It swooped down, grabbed the young man with its talons, and carried him high into the sky. The eagle flew over the land, taking the young man between the heavens and the earth. It flew for hours, carrying him farther and farther away from the mansion. Finally, the eagle dropped him onto an island in the middle of the sea. The young man landed hard on the ground and looked around, astonished. The eagle flew away, leaving him alone on the island. The young man was perplexed, not knowing where to go, when one day, while sitting, he saw the sail of a ship appearing on the sea, like a star in the sky. His heart filled with hope, thinking it might be his chance to escape. He watched it until it got closer, and when it arrived, he saw that it was a beautiful ship made of ivory and ebony. The oars were crafted from sandalwood and aloes wood, and the entire vessel was covered in brilliant gold plates. 10 beautiful young women, like moons, were aboard. When the women saw him, they came ashore to greet him, kissed his hands, and called him, "You are the king, the bridegroom." Then one of the women, more radiant than the sun, approached him with a silk kerchief. In it, there was a royal robe and a golden crown set with precious jewels. She dressed him and crowned him, and the women carried him back to the ship. Inside, the ship was filled with beautiful silk carpets of every color. They set sail, and the ship glided over the vast sea. The young man, still uncertain, thought it might all be a dream. He could hardly believe what was happening. As they neared land, he saw troops, an immense army wearing armor. They presented 5 fine horses, each with golden saddles decorated with pearls and gems. The young man chose one and mounted it. The other horses followed him. As he rode, banners and ensigns were raised, drums and cymbals were beaten, and the troops lined up in 2 divisions. He still questioned whether this was reality or a dream. When they arrived at a lush meadow, filled with palaces, rivers, flowers, and birds singing God's praises, a procession emerged from the palaces. The king, riding alone, came forward with his officers. The young man and the king exchanged greetings and rode together to the king's palace. Inside, the king seated the young man on a golden throne beside him. When the king removed his veil, the young man was shocked to discover that the king was actually a woman, a dazzlingly beautiful queen. The queen explained, "I am the ruler of this land. All the soldiers you saw were women. The men here work the land and attend to the towns. The women are the governors, soldiers, and rulers." The young man was amazed. Then, a wise old woman, the queen's vizier, entered. The queen told her to bring the Qadi, judge, and witnesses. When they arrived, the queen asked the young man, "Will you be my husband?" He kissed the ground before her, but she stopped him. He responded, "I am not worthy." The queen pointed to the wealth and servants around them, saying, "All this is yours to command." But she warned, "There is one door you must never open, or you will regret it." Soon, the Qadi and witnesses performed the marriage ceremony, and the young man became the queen's husband. They lived happily for 7 years, enjoying a life of luxury. However, the young man's curiosity grew. He wondered what could be behind the forbidden door. One day, he decided to open it, hoping for greater treasures. But inside, he found the bird that had brought him to the island in the first place. The bird spoke to him, "No welcome for a face that will never find happiness." The young man fled, but the bird caught him and flew him back to the shore of the great river. He realized it had all been a dream, a vision of glory and wealth that was now gone. He wept, longing to return to his wife and the life he had lost. For 2 months, he remained by the river, lamenting his fate. One night, a voice called out to him, "How great were the joys, but they are gone, and you will never return to them." In his despair, the young man entered the mansion where the wise men had lived and realized they had all experienced the same sorrow. Overcome with grief, he locked himself in his chamber, refusing food, drink, and joy until he died. He was buried by the side of the wise men.